Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy!
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we interview Blayne, one of our only sponsored podcasts, fellow podcaster and trader. Let's go.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
We're up 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies.
Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity of Dips,
And Hugh, honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Sunday, March the 20th, and we're joined by fellow podcaster Blayne, fellow trader Blayne. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we're living the dream. I mean, we're recording this the day that the Fed meeting came out. If you want any first results, first responses from you, Hugh, your hair's all messy. It looks like you had a crazy day. Anything first just from the Fed meeting that you have?
Yeah. So first off, hi, Penny. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Secondly, today's like the day that I really feels like our Super Bowl, because it really does change history. And we heard on CNBC, them talking about, what this potentially does to the economy and where we go from here and stuff like that. And overall, I'll say this, the economy, let me see. The economy's fucked, but the stock market is not. And so what I mean by that is that,
is there a ticking time bomb?
Well, so basically what we said at the Fed meeting was that we're pricing in the worst case scenarios. There's 7 meetings left. There's 7 Fed meetings left. And effectively they said that every single one we would be raising rates, which, that's fine. I mean, there was some economists that were saying that we would only raise 3 times this year. Now, so we're pricing that in, but also we're walking a tight rope because at the same time, Powell came out and he said that he expects inflation to be back at 2% real soon. Sorry, I'm sweating. For anybody that's watching YouTube, I'm taking off my jacket because I started sweating. I get excited. That's not possible. I will tell you right now, similar to when I said that oil's not going to 200, I firmly would put my life on it that inflation will not be at 2% by the time that he said it. And he kind of walked back the statement during the question and answers when he said, that might not happen by their expected date, which I'll tell you right now will not happen. If you look at historical data on inflation, as we talked about before the Fed meeting on Tuesday's podcast, that when inflation gets rolling, it's really hard to stop. But once you curve it and we kind of hit like that peak, then, that's usually the peak. Once you curve it and you stop it, that's usually the peak. But again, it doesn't happen overnight. Like it should take years to get back to that level. And so I think that was like a way of him kind of walking like a tight rope by pricing in 7 rates, but also making sure that, he's still positive on the overall outlook of the economy. And the other thing that he touched on was about, job. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought today. he touched about unemployment rates. Listen, unemployment rates will have to rise. That's literally a fact. And that's just kind of like one of those like casualties of what we're doing. Similar to, money won't be cheap to borrow, I shouldn't say that. Won't be as cheap to borrow. It's just a casualty of what things have to happen. It's a domino effect, all of these things. And so that is something that happens. But, at the same time, everybody was given more money last year. There's tons of jobs out there. The job market right now is booming. So overall, I felt like a really good Fed meeting. It really didn't change my overall thesis on the market. In fact, I bought some more spot. I did want to say this, that 5 weeks ago, I bought.
You saw it come out and, it dipped. I mean, because the market was soaring on this Wednesday. You saw it around 435. Meeting comes out, goes down to around 427 again. Tester on the low day, gets around red, and immediately after you see it going back up again. Yeah.
So Wednesday I played mostly puts. I had 2 puts and 1 call. Like that was what I played for the most part. But I was. And I was in puts. In fact, I tried to reshort it around that 430 area, get back in puts and sell it back down. And I ended up losing, probably about half my day. I clicked the wrong button. Like I said, I was tired. So so I gave back half my day, but it's fine. It is what it is. But then, like I said, is that inside my longer term account, I bought more of the May 20th 490 calls. About 6 weeks ago, I said that I bought them. They were trading at about 240. They're down to 58 cents. So now I have double the contracts, and I'm down 58% on them. But like I said, is that you guys know me. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and my thesis is still bullish on the market. And this really, I did think, however, that we were going to need to digest this move a little bit, and that we would actually see SPY come down to like maybe that 415 area again. And that's when I was planning on buying it. But you could see obviously today, when I say today, I'm talking about when we're recording the Fed meeting. There's a clear bidder inside the tape, and that, there's real volume there, which we haven't really seen. So, I did buy more. I'm actually still hoping for a dip. But from here on out, it's kind of goes back to what we talked about a month and a half ago, which is I'm still inside like that stair stepping back to all-time highs. Now that we got the first hike out of the way, fantastic. The Russia-Ukraine situation, it sucks. It is what it is. There's tons of headlines, and most of the headlines are counter. What's the word I'm trying to say? Conflicting headlines. 1 minute one minute we're reaching an agreement to cease fire and end the war, and the next minute, Ukraine is taking missiles from everybody, and Russia is saying that they're not going to back down. So, but that being said, I feel that some of that is starting to be priced into the market, as we talked about with the COVID market. COVID headlines were moving the market, a few hundred points, just like the Russia and Ukraine when it first started. So now what we're seeing is that these conflicting headlines are actually, I don't want to say a good thing, but you're not seeing the market move as violently on the headlines that were violently moving that market a few weeks ago, which in my opinion is good for the bullish thesis.
Yeah, wish I held my calls a little bit longer, scaled out them a little bit on Tuesday, but looks like made a mistake, but didn't get red, so I'll take 40% gain any day. Penny, sorry that we usually do our introduction and all the market stuff separate from the guest being here, but thanks
I'm thrilled to hear it.
Hey,
just learned a lot. Didn't watch the meeting, so got the Cliff's notes.
So that's what we try to be here for. But I guess getting into it, how was your day today? It was a wild day. You saw big rips. You saw it open high. You saw a big dip down to red, and you see it go back to near high a day. How did you fare out today?
So I'm only trading Apple. I'm doing a thing.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I took 5 trades on Apple. I was also in that Apple put swing that Hugh and I talked about, which didn't go well. But that was in my swing accounts. It like doesn't even really matter. The day trades were fine. They were all good. I'm all puts on Apple every day. Basically, I'm like, that's all I'm doing. And then today I actually, like you said, tried to buy some puts, bought some calls, made my whole day. And I was like, I'll take it. So made a mistake, worked out well. There we go.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, this Apple challenge that you're doing, what exactly are you doing? Because, it sounds interesting. Yeah, I know about it, but.
Yeah. So I just had some like mental challenges with my trading. I think I was in small caps for a really long time. Love small caps, like certainly my first love. Couldn't trade them. Just couldn't do it. Switched to options at the beginning of this year. Had to learn them from scratch. And I think there were too many options in options. So I was like trading SPY and the Qs and Lucid, which is my favorite stock, and CCL and Microsoft, all these things. But I couldn't really figure out which. It was like it was too much. So I couldn't really get a groove going. So our friend Jason, the Wolf of Weed Street, was like, I think that you could be a good trader, but you have to prove that you're consistent, which I've never been able to do in 2 years of trading. I'll be like way up, way down. I just could never like consistently be profitable. So anyway, I'm only trading options right now, only trading Apple options, and it's been amazing. Like on my 10th or 11th green day, I've never ever done that. I'm quitting when I'm like reach the goal. Everything's going great, amazingly. But before I started this, I legitimately was like, this is a rock bottom. Like I've got a great podcast. I'm trading every day. I know anyone and everyone's trying to help me, but I just couldn't get over my own mental shit,
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. And the fact that so many people are getting into large caps options that used to be in these small cap swings and stuff is definitely you're seeing the people that want to learn and the people that are being weeded out. And it seems like these people that were reluctant to doing this for so long are, this is just what they have to do.
Yeah.
And have you tried playing with just equity in the Apple at all too? I mean, do you think you'd be able to buy it and then short it? Obviously for the people that are, a little scared of options, but they could play around with 5 to 10 shares of Apple.
So my TD Ameritrade, you have to have a pretty massive account to short. So I can't short in TD Ameritrade. And I have an E-Trade account. I feel like it was such a game changer switching to options and being able to play puts. Like I very much would prefer to short things and play puts, but I just don't have a big enough account to do that.
Do you think are you making more money on the downside than the upside? Because
totally.
Yeah. I mean, hey, not to be rude, but you were so transparent in so many of your trades. It's like, hey, I was red all these days. Did you just start doing the opposite of what you were doing? Or
yeah,
because I thought like I saw so many red day, and then you posted your month and it was green every day. And it was like you just had a crazy turnaround. And I hadn't been on Twitter much because it was so toxic, and I get around like, oh, this is what I want to see.
So I like really love the 20 EMA. It's like my main thing that I play off of. And so playing penny stocks, I would just play off that 20 EMA, but I would just keep going long, and then it would break it. It just like wasn't going well. And I literally do the same thing on the other side. We'll just like take something short right at the 20 EMA, and it's like working. So that's amazing because it's nice to be like, oh, I wasn't like broken or bad or all the terrible shit that I said to myself. It was like, oh, there's just like a missing piece. Anyway, I don't know if I'm ever going to be a long trader again, even if we're in like the biggest bull market ever. I think I'm just like I like it this way.
Honestly, it's fine. It's fine. Half the time, and this is just in my experience, half the time I'm like, man, like for a while there, probably about a year and a half ago, I was like purely short everything. Like I was like, man, I'm never longing shit again. And then now it's like I'm never shorting shit again. So like me personally, my shit just changes left and right with the wind. But I think like that's the cool thing, you know. And so, but then again, like I have, we have friends who, they'll only go short side and they'll take 10 trades, a quarter maybe, and they just go, they have a high win rate, they go heavy and they kill it, and like that's great, you know what I mean? And that's the cool thing about trading is that you can flip flop, you can find something that works for you, or like you could do Apple and then add another thing to your roster. I think like that's the super cool thing.
Totally. Basically, the only reason I'm doing this challenge is because my confidence was so bad that I just needed some wins.
Do you think this challenge saved your trading career, or at least put it into a better gear?
Yeah, so I trade with Shark Trader all the time. We're really good friends. And the day before it was a Friday. I started this on a Monday. And at like 3:30 in the afternoon, I called him and he picked up, which he never does because he's on voice all the time. And I was like broken. And I was like, I have to quit. I felt it. I've never had any kind of intervention or anything, but it felt like such a rock bottom of like, I cannot do this. And then Jason, the Wolf of Weed Street, was like, let's try one more time. And it's working and it's amazing. And I'm so happy because I didn't want to quit. Like I'm in it too deep to quit.
Yeah. I think that's such a big thing, is that a small thing can totally turn around your whole trading career. What exactly would you recommend to someone that was in a position of, hey, I was in this whole great market, I was doing as good as I could, and then this happens and I'm losing motivation. I may not be able to do this anymore. Yours was as simple as an Apple challenge. What do you kind of recommend to someone in the same shoes?
So that's like everybody that I talk to. Like everyone is struggling pretty badly. I think that my advice would be to take Hugh, maybe we should use the analogy.
Use it.
Okay. So I told Hugh this analogy I have of like, I love Vegas and I love the food in Vegas. And I also love like a buffet in Vegas. So I feel like the stock market is like a buffet, and you go in and you can have like like Chinese and, salads and roast and rolls and desserts and anything you want. And it's all so beautiful. And you go in and you're like eating all this stuff, and then you eventually start to get sick, or like the food's not good for you anymore. It doesn't taste good anymore. And then you have to do kind of like an elimination challenge. Like, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me, until you boil down to like one food that you can eat, or one, in the case of the stock market, like one thing that you can do that is profitable. And I think it's literally like, keep it.
The girls that only eats fried chickens back to the buffet. Pablo, you got to get the fryer turned on.
I mean, but that, like, if you can do one thing over and over and over, you don't have to do 10 things great. But there's a Bruce Lee quote about that too. Like, fear the man that's done the same kick like 1,000,000 times, or something like just get really, really good at one thing would be my advice.
Well, let's say Apple's delisted tomorrow. What do you think? Or my original question was, what if you started to lose? And I'm sorry to be the negative Nancy, but in the same token, what if Apple's delisted tomorrow? Do you think you could do it with other stocks? Have you tried doing it with other stocks?
So I really like the Qs a lot.
Right.
Have real good vibe with the Qs.
You've been talking to Hugh a good bit, huh?
I'm obsessed. I also have all my stocks on one screen now. So like I have SPY and the Qs and VIX, and I have some other stocks up too. But basically what I'm learning is like the way that Apple moves in relation to those. And that's the edge, right? Of like, you can like, if SPY is really strong, but Apple's lagging a little bit, you can like use that as your edge, or vice versa, sort of. So I do think that once I've learned how to do this in relation to the overall market, I could do it with something else. I really do think I could.
Yeah, no, I noticed how you were just talking about like Apple affecting SPY and stuff like that. What do you think, like kind of how the Avatar The Last Airbender has to learn all the elements? What do you think is your kind of next step to becoming like the complete trader, learning like how to trade SPY with it, or, you know, going back to, hey, the market's back to small caps, those big gains can be back. What do you think is your like next step? And then what do you also think is, what do you have the most, what like part of trading do you have the most to gain / learn it?
I think that I I don't really see myself going back to small caps now that I know how unlike small caps, large
It's
caps
very,
are.
you never know what's going to happen down there, but
Yeah,
large caps are
I
a lot
know.
more consistent.
Yeah, but like I still watch small caps every day, and then I'll just see a knife and be like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
glad that
Oh,
didn't
an
happen to me.
offering that doesn't happen to me in Apple. Yeah.
Right. I think that I would like to learn how to play spreads. I'm very interested in spreads. I think that that like feels good to my brain. I don't know enough about it yet, but that's what I like. I like to do things that like make sense and feel good in my brain versus, oh, let me do something that is like not a good fit for my personality.
Just touching on the spreads thing real quick. I think that you would love spreads because with spreads, different than options, you always know your risk with options, but with spreads, you truly know your risk. You know that if it goes here, this is what you will do, and this is what you like. Your plan cannot be changed. It is strictly defined. It's either A or B. And that's what I like about spreads. And I think that that's something that you'd probably like. And once you learn it, and this is for anybody, once you learn how to use spreads, like spreads aren't always going to be in ideal situations, but in high volatility, especially, spreads are the way to go, in my opinion. And like I said, is that the real benefit is that it's never truly like, okay, you're going to get absolutely smoked on this, and like, what your risk is so defined and your plan is so defined. Like, even if you want to deviate from your plan, you have to change something about your position, which I personally like a lot. So yeah, I just touching on it.
Yeah, it seems safer. Like, I no longer am really wanting to take a math. I mean, I was just on a podcast with someone like 2 days ago and was saying when DWAC was running, there were like multiple times a day when I had my entire account in DWAC scalping it. And now looking back, I'm like, why?
Yeah, you should have just held it
doing-
until it hit like 4,000%.
Yeah, I was taking like massive position. I mean, it just was the things I was doing were just insane. And so I think I'm kind of growing up a little bit, just after having been hurt so many times. And I know with spreads, like the gains aren't going to be as big or what, like I care. Like it doesn't.
No, but that's the thing though, is that it's you, like, if you get that, like that muscle memory down, if you will, it's like you can pull away, 7, 10, 12% gains. And that's fantastic. Like me personally, like rarely will you see me with like a 200% option play. Like literally, honestly, probably never.
Should have been me today.
yeah, like yeah. Perfect example is that Dan and I, like, we'll both have spy calls, but I'll have them 3 weeks out, and Dan's will be like, I don't even know. Baby. Yeah, same day. Yeah,
like I went a little far on Monday getting them for Friday, but sold them on Tuesday. Had like one extra I sold today, but I should have been a little bit happier today than I am. But whatever.
Penny, question. Yeah, Dan and I are. Are you a single bachelor?
Yeah.
This just in.
Yeah, this might be breaking news. This might be breaking. We're not sure.
So you can share
depends on who's listening, man.
Yeah, this might be breaking news.
That's a crazy question, dude.
So I mean, I didn't know it was so much up in the air,
Apparently, this is like changing minute by minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe
Dan
we get a text from Dan later tonight, like had to cut that section.
Yeah. Well, see, Dan and I used to get about a year ago. We used to get relationship questions, and then I think one time we gave absolutely terrible advice. And
probably most of the time,
yeah.
That is a question that you answered. The question I asked you guys was, "What's the sexiest chart pattern?" I thought it was a great question, and you guys you were like, and then kind of dismissed it. But I still was like, no, it's a damn good question. Pattern.
Because we're a family podcast, Penny. Okay.
Oh, yes.
What do you think? What do you think is the best way to manage a relationship as a trader? I mean, it's interesting that you're in a relationship or married to a trader.
No.
Oh, okay.
I
thought he
doesn't know. He knows nothing.
Okay, sorry. Totally thought. Oh, I'm thinking of ESQ. Sorry, that was so sexist.
Is married
that
to
was
a
so
trader.
sexist of me. Yeah, I just combined my two girl trader. Yeah.
You know what though? If you're gonna compare me to like any other trader, she's such a badass.
No, she's a baller.
So,
no, I mean she takes out like $250,000 for taxes, and then you just see it right back at $1 million. She's the best.
Yeah, she's incredible. So I'll take it. That's a compliment.
So I guess pivot that. What's it like having? And I think this is what it's like for most. I guess most of our audience is dudes. You have a husband who knows nothing about trading. Most of these dudes probably have a wife or girlfriend who probably doesn't know too much about it aside from what they tell them. What difficulties have you found? And what, like, has it built anything up? Like, does he cheer you on your good days? Like, how does it go? Or you just keep it to yourself? Hey, this is my thing.
It's been hard. It's been really hard. While also being really great. I think I've learned so much about myself in the past 2 years, and I think I've become like a much better and stronger person, which I think has made me a better person in this relationship. So I'm very thankful for it. It's also a very solitary journey. As much as we try to like be in Discords and Twitter and try to make it a community thing, it's just you at the end of the day. And that's become so apparent to me. So
yeah, there's nothing worse than when everyone else just all the people you trade with made all that money and you didn't, and you're like, what? How that? It ends up at the day it's still just you.
It's just you. I took my own, like I've worked since I graduated from college, like worked and I have a job and I have an art career and all of this. So I took $25,000 of my own money to be over PDT, which was so dumb. Wish I hadn't done it. And, but that's my money that I worked for. And so, and I was okay if I lost it, like I knew how hard I'd worked for it. And like that was okay with me. And my husband also knows that like I'm on very much of it's me that it doesn't really involve him in that way because it's not his money. And I've had people on Twitter be like, you should stop trading and stop losing your husband's money, which just makes me so angry.
No, yeah.
Listen, we've talked about this quite extensively. But the difference between FinTwit, and I'll say like other areas of honestly anything, is that we deal with money. Like our whole universe is centered around money. So like even if another big podcaster or something is like, oh, like stop wasting, X amount of money on this car or whatever. It's different for us because it's truly like a competition everywhere that you look. And
it's all based on numbers too. So it's like
all based on numbers.
You can quantify everything. And it's also
And it's a real shame how like sometimes emotions, like myself, like emotions can get involved like with money super fast. And I mean, like I'll have like someone commenting, about my Twitch or something, and then I go look on the account, and it's like an egg account that like only comments to like a few of us. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something like that. So
you can really find you find some peace of mind if you just look at the people talking shit and all their tweets and replies are just talking shit to everyone. Like, dude, you're talking shit to NFL players about they didn't catch a ball. Like, dude, you would. Like, yeah, I get it, dude. Eli Apple didn't perform in the Super Bowl, but it's not like you're an all-American cornerback.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. I want to finish about my husband though.
Yeah.
I was just born like a very driven person. I just was that way, and he knew that about me when he married me. And I think he's like a perfect partner for me because he gives me so much grace and support in that. So even though he doesn't understand what I'm doing, he very much understands like this is what you have to do for you. He understands the podcast very well. So if I'm super excited about something on the podcast, he's like, yeah, like that is something he can more wrap his head around.
He can listen to that. He can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't tell him at all if days are going good or days are going bad. And I really have to separate my life and turn it off when it's like family time, because I shouldn't have to put that burden on them of like, I'm putting myself through this grueling thing and now I'm going to come be a jerk to like.
So you think separating it completely is the best way to do it?
It's the only way I can do it.
Gotcha.
However, I think men hiding it from their wives and all of this, if it's mixed money and like it gets tricky and slippery, and like I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I do, and that my husband knows like what's going on. And he's like, either she's going to lose all that money or she's going to make money, and it's going to go one way or the other. And if she loses all the money, she loses all the money.
Yeah, I think you're doing great. I think for the husbands, just because wives are always like, oh, what secrets does he keep? And just treat it like a trip to Las Vegas. Hey, honey, putting $5,000 in the TDA account. You'll know if I lost it all whenever I go get another 5,000.
Yeah, and I it's sort of like when I like post my P&L on Twitter, which I had to take like a little break from, and I have a weird relationship with. Like,
it gets stressful. I used to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
When you start losing like 4 days in a row, you're like, I'm not going to put, you feel like a loser. And it's like,
massive loser.
I felt like I was playing for the Jets or some shit.
Yeah. And like, I've got all these people, I'm going to let them, it's a head trip. And I feel sort of similar about my marriage a little bit of like, I don't want him to have to live through like, well, we're down for our third month in a row. He didn't need to know all that. Like
telling your husband who works, and even if he's making $90,000 a year, hey, I lost $2,000 this week. You're like, what?
Well, wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. On the flip side, I will say that I treat like the money that I give my mother for her trading account kind of like a hobby, and it's like, well, I shouldn't say not the money that I give her.
It's not relatable at all. No one else is giving people money to trade with.
No, it is her money, but it's how much I allow her to put inside her account, because she swears that if she had like a lot of money in there, that all of a sudden she become profitable. But so we had to talk about I did
tell myself that I'm like, just give me like $300K.
That's literally like that was the conversations that we've had before. Like, yeah, like, oh, like Mitch, if I could just buy a few shares of QQ, like if I could just buy like 10 shares of QQQ, I'd be making like $20 a day. I'm like, man, it's like not really that good. Like, but anyway, like the way that, and she put this pretty good. She was like, well, I could, if I wasn't sitting in front of the screen, I might be like spending money. And I was like, you know what? That's honestly not a bad way to look at it. So that's the way that I look at that. But yeah, she's still not getting a big account.
I would just say in summary, to just be very honest with the person your significant other. I would just be very honest and talk about it beforehand.
All right. Well, I think kind of last thing is to get more into your strategy. I know right now it's Apple and 20 EMA. Can you kind of give us your rundown, what you wake up, what you look for, how, because it seems like right now, are you just kind of mainly taking the good setups? You're not trading all day. Are there days that I'm not even trading. This just isn't like, this doesn't look right. What are the symbols? I want to know it all.
Sure. So I wake up every day and erase all my levels from the day before. And then I go through and redraw them to like reacquaint myself with sort of what I'm looking for that day. And then, so I said I do play off the 20 EMA, but also I play off a lot of levels, a ton, which I like. And that's what I'm doing. And then once I like make the goal for the day, I'm like, I have to, and I can do that in like one trade. So basically I used to spend from 9:30 until about 7 o'clock at night, just agonizing and making, I'm not exaggerating when I say I was making like 100+ trades a day. Right. And now I make 5 at the absolute max, but really 1 is ideal. So I'm trying to just take that like one perfect. The levels in the EMAs are like combining. I'm like really liking that. So anyway, if I just take the one trade and make money and walk away and live my life, it feels kind of like a dream.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you have a goal for the day. Do you have a loss for the day where it's like, oh, lost that, I'm done? And also, are there days where you hit your goal, but you're like, damn, I'm killing it. Let me continue, but you have to hold yourself back. Like, let me add them.
I used to do that. I'm making like no money right now, but I used to be up like thousands of dollars and be like, I'm in the zone, right? Like really killing it. And then in the day, red. It's happened a lot of times.
Too many times. Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah. So I'm not doing that. I'm just like walking away now. And my friend Happy Gilmore actually has a beautiful strategy of, he only takes 2 trades, and if the first trade is green, he'll walk away. If the first trade is red, then he'll give himself like 1 more chance to get back green. And then if he's green, he can possibly take a 3rd trade with half size. But it's so regimented and like lovely. I don't do it. Yeah, I don't do exactly that. But if I can train myself to be very disciplined, I think I said to you, Hugh, like I'm very interested in finding a way to make the market work just for me instead of trying out to get like in the marketing. Like I can't do that, but if I can just take my little segment out.
Yeah, let the market work for you. Don't work for the market.
Last Sunday we talked about lifestyle, because that was like a big thing for me personally. I found myself the last few months trying to push it, and I would have good trades in the morning, and then I would slowly bleed it out, and I was like, shit, like I should just like even January, the first day of January, I hit like my quarter goal. I'm like, it was a day that Tesla had released great delivery numbers, then gapped up like 12%. I had made like my month, and I had just slowly bled out the rest of the month. And so similar to what you're saying, like that was part of what I had to do. So like today, the Fed meeting, it was like I had a great morning. I went to Whole Foods, smoked a cigar, and then I came back and lost some money. But my point is that like that's something that I've totally been trying to work on,
Yeah.
similar to you, because half the time there's no honestly there's no point in me being in front of the screen, from really honestly like 11 to like 2.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it because I'm addicted. Like I feel like I have to be in front of it.
Well, I've told you before, but I've talked about it a little bit on my podcast, but I like personally struggled so much with drinking throughout my life, and it's like an ongoing struggle for me, unfortunately. And I quit drinking for a really long time. And then I had all these parameters around my drinking, like I can drink this time, but not this time, but not this time. But I found in quitting drinking for so long, like I really like drinking. So it's like if I cannot drink, then I can trust myself to control myself in the market. And I think about that like every single day. Like if not drinking is like the kind of pinnacle of something that's really hard for me, then like walking away isn't that hard. It like becomes such a more and more parallel thing in my life. But I've found a lot of like strength in trying to get some control over this drinking situation.
Well, I mean, this is going to be a little psychopath, but similar to your point, because I think that, self-control in the market is huge. So for me, like, I love coffee. So like this year, well, actually I shouldn't say, until 3 days ago, I like totally deprived myself of coffee just because like I wanted to show myself that like I didn't need coffee. You know what I mean? Because the same thing like with trading, like like I need to get better at like, okay, this looks good, let me take it. You know what I mean? So like I'll self-deprive, which some people say like that's not good, but I disagree. And so I'll do that on purpose just because I feel like it relates better to my trading, where I'm like, all right, like, you know what I mean?
The mental hoops that I put myself through of things like that, it's psychotic, but it like somehow provides some clarity to me of.
It doesn't need to make sense either. Like half the shit that I say, honestly, half the shit that I say on here, I get DMs like, Hugh, what the, like you curl your toes like to fight FOMO? I'm like, hell yeah, baby. Like,
whatever it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so many different types of trading strategies. Obviously, curling your toes is one, but I guess where do you see yourself in a year from now trading? And also, what do you think it is that you've improved on the most in the past 2 months?
Oh my God. Well, I just told you guys that I want to trade spreads. And 2 months ago, I didn't know how to trade options. So like there are things that I can do today in March 2022 that if I told myself 2 years ago that I could do, I'd be like, no freaking way. So I'm like very proud of that. I think my ultimate goal, this is something I've never even admitted on my podcast, but I'm feeling very open today.
Yeah.
We have some, like the reason I started trading is because we have just some debt that I would like to pay off. And that is really my, like, I would like to pay off that debt. And then I would like to take my kids to Disney World. Those are my two.
That's awesome.
In a year, if I could do that, I'd be like, hell yeah.
We can cut this part if you don't want to answer, but is it like student loans? Is it mortgage, or it's just like credit card debt? Got it.
It's okay. I mean, I feel real shitty about it, but that is what it is.
Listen,
so.
Yeah. I mean that's awesome.
I have kids. I have a life. It just happened.
No, I think it's always really awesome. Does. And you've gone like your journey, just going from like art to trading to podcasting, doing what a lot of people would say is pretty unorthodox jobs. Do you have any advice for the people that are also trying to, whether it be trading or podcasting or just something that's not exactly the go to college, get the degree, apply for the job, get it, but kind of go on in your own route?
Yep. Also, like Hugh, we've already covered all of this. I really like the analogy, the Will Smith analogy of if you and I get on the treadmill at the same time, either you're going to get off first or I'm going to die trying. And I just like, and then he ends it with like, I will not be outworked. And I just feel very, very confident in myself that like, I'm going to work really damn hard. And I mean, I did it with art. Like I started as a nobody, and I think I'm probably in the top 5 or 10% of artists who sell living work. I just willed it to happen. And you guys have seen, I've done the same thing with the podcast. I'm just like, I'm going to make this happen.
Big news this week.
Big news. It is big news where I didn't even realize it was big news, but we're charting. We're we're in the top 200. And I like looked through all the 200 and was like, damn, we're like,
listen, you're like top 1% pop. Everybody on here is top 1% pop. Honestly, you might be higher than us now. I mean,
it's an awesome achievement.
I'm not. I saw you guys on there. Waved.
that was like why I really loved like the podcasting and trading. It was all numbers based, and like what really got me like really into World of Warcraft when I played it all the time was like seeing like the rankings of people like of my same class, like damage rankings and stuff. I'm like, holy shit. Like if I can climb this and just quantitatively see that I am better, like that was like why like it all became so fun to me. And just like
and it's competitive. This is like trading's competitive. It's
all of it's competitive. I remember listening to like this Mr. Beast interview with Joe Rogan. He's saying like how he used to lie to his parents about going to college, and I was like, holy shit, that's me. And like getting into like the competitive thing, it's like they didn't understand. Like I remember even after I had started the podcast and had I guess like $35,000 in my account, my parents were still sending me job fairs, and I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It's a big like, hey, I can do it. It's confidence in yourself, and also saying like, if you don't believe in me, I'm gonna do it. And I know at the beginning of the podcast when we first started, I was always like, yeah, I just have to say like, fuck my parents. I don't mean that, Mom, but like, I can't do that, and I have to do like what I have to do, you know?
How to do it. I've been on my own path since I was a little girl, and just like, gotta do it. If I don't do it, then I don't even really want to live.
How are you going to tell someone else to do it if you can't do it yourself?
And my kids are like such dreamers too. They have like all these, and I'm just like, yes, like, you can,
that was the one thing, was that my parents were always realistic with me. Like, yo, Mitch, like, you're not going to be in the NFL. But, anything outside of that, it was like, totally, dude, like, go for it. So even like the trading, I mean, they always have like a skeptical eye about it, but they're also like, like you're not, like it's your money, like whatever, so here we are,
I think my mom, I'm 40, almost 40. I keep saying I'm 40. I'm not 40, almost 40. And I think at this point, she's like, she's going to do what she's going to do, and she's going to do it well. Like I actually went into work because I also have a job. I went into work yesterday and was telling my coworkers, I was like, I think the podcast is going well. We're in the top 200. And they were like, how the hell do you keep doing this? Like, you're like, art's great, the and I was just like, I just gonna make it happen. And not to brag, but I've been a little bit down on my trading, I guess, this podcast. Like, I started in May of 2020, and so many people who started then are like, not trading anymore, or blew up their accounts, or did all kind of stuff. So am I down from when I started trading? Yeah, but like I'm still freaking here, and I'm pretty proud of that.
And it's like you're getting good at trading. The podcast is starting to rank. It's like things start to go well, and you'll notice it. You'll have that golden era. It's awesome, and I mean It's great to see, for sure.
I truly wish that like when I go on a cold streak that like it's every time too. I had like a few like bad trades. Like I'm talking like total misreads. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And every single time I'm like, man, like I should take a month vacation, And every time I keep trying to fight through it, and I'll I'll lose like a good amount, and then I'll get hot again, and it'll just be like my reads are back and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck this job, like fuck this job, because it's like the only job where like your performance is obviously, how you do inside the market is just obviously your performance. And sometimes there's just nothing that you can do about it. Like there's truly nothing that, I mean, you can manage your risk, but there's just some times where I'm like, man, fuck this, but that's why I think it's so important to keep like going. You know what I mean?
If you think about it as like a stock chart that's going up, like there are pullbacks, and there are in life, there are in trading, there are in podcasting. Like, has this podcast I started gone just like jet fuel the whole time? Like, no, it's been like the trajectory has been up, but it's not all.
Yeah, no, I think that
all the time.
It's a good transition, which was going to be my last question was about how you guys are talking about like keep going, you're still in it. Is you were at a point where I remember you tweeted that you weren't going to be able to podcast anymore. You already mentioned because of the financial strain of each episode, and you already mentioned, so fuck you to everyone that's like, oh, you should be, we spend money to record this. Fuck y'all. Next is you already mentioned earlier you were down bad. You were at the ropes on your trading career. And I don't know if one happened during your art career as well, but it seems like you've had those moments where you're on the ropes. It's nothing can go right, but you always made it work. Could you kind of give what always is in you that makes it work every time?
That's a really good question.
Because I mean, it could be as simple as having someone there for you that picture. I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, it was us giving you podcast sponsor, or that guy saying, hey, you should, or Jason Spatfora. But I mean, for me, that's kind of what it was for me. It's just having someone be there. It's like, I just need some help,
Yeah. Honestly, it was, I mean, you guys did save the podcast. Like, I could not have kept going. I just couldn't justify that money, and I'd run in because I just paid out of pocket for it. It wasn't making any money. It was just like a net drain on me. And
why'd you want to keep doing it?
I just really believed that I believed in the podcast. I believed that I deserved a voice in this world. I also think that there's something like special that I'm a woman, like a middle-aged woman doing it. I think that person deserves a voice, and like it just happened to be me, but I felt very called to do it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was less the money that you guys gave me for the sponsorship and much more the like confidence. Like that's what I needed at that time, was just someone to believe in me. And I think that has happened. That's probably the thing that's happened throughout. I mean, art too. Very short story, but I did a traveling art show once when I thought that I was at kind of the height of my art career and like nothing could stop me. And I paid a significant amount of money to rent a booth at a very well-known art show. I painted all of this work. I took a crew of people with me to this art show in Chicago. I sat there for a week and did not pay. I had to pay the Airbnb. I had to pay the people by the hour. I had to pay all of this stuff, and sat there for a week, and nobody bought anything. And it was like such a humbling experience that I had to go to the hospital when I got home, because I was like, I just blew everything I've made this year. Yeah. It was like an Icarus situation. I was like, I can't live. Like people are buying these paintings. And my mom actually helped me then, helped me pay my rent for my studio, helped me get through a really big health crisis that I had because of that. And she just was like, I believe that you can do this. And sometimes I think when you are at those really, really low points, and I mean, similar to my trading career, like when Shark happened to pick up that phone that day when I was sobbing, and he was like, you've gotten so much better, and sort of talked me through that. it's a very, very kind thing to believe in other people when they're shaky on their own self-confidence, you know?
Well,
Yeah, when you don't believe in yourself and someone else does.
I think I speak for everyone when I say we're all happy you had people to pick up your confidence so that you're still here in the podcast and trading world. This has been a really good hour. I hope everyone that listens does check out Penny Lane podcast on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can listen. And is there anything you'd like to say before you go?
I mean, I said it both of you on both podcasts, but like, swear to God, you guys changed my life. And I just so freaking appreciative. Like, Dan, I mean, just couldn't have done it without you, for real. I'm so, so proud of you. And I've told you a lot of times how proud I am of everything that you've done. And Hugh, I really appreciate your friendship. You guys changed my life by doing this and then saved my podcast. So really, really appreciate it.
You made me have a tear over here, Penny.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to close it early.
By the time that this comes out, Penny and I will have met.
I was supposed to, but my grandmother died, so had a little, inconvenience there.
And I'm like, we're gonna meet.
Yeah, we will. No issues.
We're gonna meet. Yeah. I'm pretty fun. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right. Well, I hope everyone goes and checks out your podcast. We had a great time here, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
That was fun, Penny.
Penny's Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.